Good afternoon. I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'm Carissa Bugler, current chairperson of the Park and Rec Commission. I welcome everyone to the regular meeting on October 10th, 2022 of the City of New Ulm's Park and Rec Commission meeting. Let's do a quick roll call. Bev, can we start with you?
Bev Lunenberg.
Dave Christian.
Amy Johnson.
Leroy Floor.
Carol Corman from Park and Rec.
Welcome, everyone, and welcome to our guest who is with us here as well. Your agenda is before you. I'd be looking for a motion of the agenda as presented.
So move.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion has carried. Looking for approval of the minutes from our September 12th meeting. They are attached and we're in your packet. Looking for a motion to approve or any recommendations for changes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion has carried to approve the minutes from September 12th as presented. Next on our agenda, the City Council meeting recap. Turn that over to Cheryl.
Thank you,
Or
Chair
Dave?
Bugler. You have the notes in front of you. Just a few minor things on September 20th. They approved the liquor permit at the Civic Center for the Steel Junior Hockey franchise and adopted the 2023 preliminary budget, accepted donations, and the next meeting saw nothing specific to Park and Rec.
Okay. Thank you, Cheryl. Any questions from the last two City Council meetings from the Commission? If not, looking for a motion to receive and order file the City Council past report.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion has carried. We have no old business, so we'll jump into new business, starting with 7.1, our donations for the month leading up to October.
Yes, we saw quite a few donations once again. We are very fortunate to have the support that we have. The Herman Heights Park paver stones, I'll read those into the record. $200 honoring the Women's Literary Club from Karen Shea from New Ulm. $200 honoring Mayor Robert and First Lady Cheryl Boisman from Robert and Cheryl Boisman. A $100 donation from Francine Liebel for the Herman Heights Monument restoration. A $5,000 donation from James and Janice Seifert for the German Park Veterans Square Memorial. A $1,500 payment for the German Park Veterans Square Bench honoring Bill Wilford and Marlis Wilford. $200 honoring Dell and Lenora Burgess from Lisa Besmer for a German Park paver stone. $4,253 donation from Tony and Shannon Golden from the Napa Star Group towards the Civic Center scoreboard. That brings the donations total to $11,453 in cash for this past month.
Thank you, Cheryl, for the review of the donations that were recently received. Also extend on behalf of the Commission and all the recipients who will be the beneficiaries of these gifts, we are appreciative of these donations, for they make our parks and our programming even better. Any questions for Cheryl? If not, I'd be looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to recommend the council offer the resolution, waive the reading to accept the donations as stated.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion has carried. Moving on to new business 7.2, Lutheran Social Services rental fee. This is an action item for discussion. If we don't come to a conclusion today, that's okay. It's be good for us to discuss. There is a proposal before us to consider an increase in the fee that we charge Lutheran Social Services for use of our commercial kitchen at our community center. Cheryl, can I turn it over to you for some additional background?
Sure. Lutheran Social Services has been renting the community center for meal prep for several years, and the city values that function and service for our senior residents of New Ulm and the surrounding area. And the city, generally speaking, for our fee guidelines, we analyze and consider adjustments at least annually, and we try to adjust for inflation to recoup the city costs and expenses. And normally we charge non-residents more than residents due to residents paying city property taxes. Roughly, it varies a little bit each month, but roughly 45 to 51% of the meals that are prepared in our community center go to residents of other cities. In the past, the city has asked Lutheran Social Services to seek funding from other cities with residents receiving the City of New Ulm subsidized meals. You know, you have the action form in front of you with all of the background. We have charged in the past $51 a day, and our expenses are roughly $91 per day. And so the city is subsidizing those meals as well as all the meals that are going outside to those other communities. This fee has also been in place for 5 years, since 2017. And so, it's probably time to take a look at that a little bit closer and to determine, does the city still desire to continue subsidizing the residents of other cities? By X amount. That's, certainly a decision for the commission and the council. LSS is a large private corporation. They have. We're a nonprofit. Okay. So, the city does provide and pay for kitchen appliances, furnishings, fixtures, custodial supplies, water softener, salt, labor for the building, grounds, parking lots, utilities, refuse, recycling, and their office space.
Thank you for that recap. We had some great background information as well in our packets. I believe we have a guest here. Do you want to approach, just give us your name and your role and your organization, and share maybe why you're here and information on your program.
Thank you. I'm Sarah Anderson. I'm a regional manager with Lutheran Social Service. I've been the supervisor for our senior meal program for Brown County since 2007. We are very grateful to the City of New Ulm for the space we are able to use in the community center. We feel privileged to be able to provide this service to residents of Brown County and New Ulm. We're a 501c3 nonprofit entity. The program, the senior meals, are provided on a free will contribution basis. There is no set charge if you are 60 and older. So our revenue is very uncertain. We receive partial funding from the Minnesota River Area Agency on Aging on a per meal basis, but that only really covers about a third of the cost of the meal. So the cost of the meal is, full cost of the meal is $8.75. We have a suggested contribution of $5 a meal, but it is entirely free will. No one is denied a meal if they're unable to contribute. We lose $1.25 per meal. For every meal we serve, we lose $1.25. So our actual average contribution is around $3.75 a meal. We suggest $5, but we do not receive anywhere near that. I am very appreciative that the city has not increased the rate in the last handful of years. That is greatly appreciated. We, during COVID, did not shut down. We provided service Monday through Friday, every day. We were not able to have shut down. Our staff showed up every day to prepare those meals. So we are appreciative that the rate hasn't changed in the last couple years that way. What Cheryl said is correct. About half of the meals do go outside of New Ulm, but New Ulm is the county seat. New Ulm is the hub for the surrounding communities. People come here to shop. They are spending money here in New Ulm. They're paying sales tax in New Ulm. But we recognize that, the city is subsidizing a lot of those meals. There's other programming happening in the building that is being subsidized as well from the city. So we also do receive some funding from United Way of Brown County, but I think you are all aware with changes in their staffing, their campaign has not been as successful in the last 2-3 years, and we did get a reduction in our grant from them. And everybody, when they go to the grocery store, knows what used to cost $100 a week is now $150, and that's no stranger to us. What used to cost $1,000 a week in groceries through our wholesaler is now costing $1,500. And we don't get to really pass that on to our diners, our clients, because we have not really seen an increase in what they're able to contribute towards the cost. So I'm not saying we will not consider an increase. Again, it hasn't been in the last few years. I just thought I'd share those few factors of what's going on with our service and what we're providing in the community. And just that people understand it's not a set charge. We don't get what we charge. It's not the same as racquetball of this is the fee to have racquetball, you pay it or you don't. It is a free will contribution. So I know you've got to get to football, but
No,
that's
No, that's
I get it. But are there any questions for me that I can answer?
As a counselor, I mean, it's going to come up at our council meeting again, and again, the council has changed, a couple of new people.
Yeah.
Have you contacted other cities?
We have done that elsewhere, and we have not been successful. In Sleepy Eye, our meal site's at Ross Park Apartments. It's at a low-income housing unit. In Springfield, we're providing just Meals on Wheels. We don't have a congregate dining site. And same in Comfrey. We are just doing Meals on Wheels there. So we're not,
it would be a direct contribution to LSS, not an in-kind like what our city is doing.
they provide space in kind in those communities.
Okay.
We do not pay anything to Ross Park Apartments to have the meals in their building. They provide that space gratis in
Are
kind.
you preparing the meals at the apartment building?
We serve the meals in their
Serve them
dining
there.
room,
Gotcha.
in their
Okay.
community
But it's
room.
prepared here.
It's prepared here.
Okay.
But they do eat on site in Ross Park and Sleepy Eye. In Springfield, we operate out of St. John's Lutheran Church, which has provided that space to us in kind, gratis. We do have meals going down to St. James. We actually are charged to be at the community building already by the city of St. James. We do have a meal site where people come in to eat. So we're already paying a fee there. But that's what we do with the other communities.
Okay.
And what I'm looking for from the board tonight is, if this will be at the next council meeting, I want your input to take to them. I have my opinion, but I want to hear yours first.
Any other questions for Sarah?
Thank you, by the way.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Sarah, thank you. And thank you for the vital work that you do and that you've been committed to this since 2007 is just a testament of your advocacy for seniors in our community. And we understand that these meals are helping people live independently longer, getting them nutrition. It's helping their health. So thank you for the good work that you and
you.
LSS are doing. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So the discussion.
And I'm happy to come back to city council or
Sure.
next month to Park and Rec if needed.
Okay.
So,
I mean, it'll be on, if the board, if they table it tonight, it won't be on, but if they do make the recommendation, it'll be on the 18th meeting.
October 18th?
October 18th.
City Council? Okay. All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. So looking for feedback and ideas from the group, essentially what the staff and what city council is looking for us as a potential recommendation. Should there be an increase, given we are providing a little over $13,000 a year in-kind services to LSS to operate the senior dining program on site. And you can kind of see, we were in 2009 charging about $75 per day, and then up to 81. Then in 2015 moved down to $50 a day, and it's really stayed there over time since 2015, which expenses have certainly gone up since then. So looking for ideas to start the discussion around what a potential proposal could look like to the city council.
So when you say city expenses, is that our taxes?
The cost to operate the actual facility, to upkeep all of the equipment, to have the costs of the
Comes out of the New Ulm Fund?
so city
Meaning
taxes
city.
pays to operate
Okay.
the community center.
Right.
And so we pass on some of those costs to organizations like LSS who rent the space from us. So essentially, we're charging them about half of what it costs us just to maintain the space.
So these outlying communities are they contributing anything to?
Not at this time. Not at this time. And about half the meals are going to non-city of New Ulm residents. And I think why this has come up is the city of New Ulm taxpayers are helping to subsidize a program as worthy as it is, but for other communities of which our taxpayers should or should they not be responsible for other communities.
That fee is based on some custodial fees, some cleaning expenses. About 90% of the garbage that gets hauled out of there is a result of the meals program.
Which
It's
is a direct
based-
expense as well, yep.
About a third of the utilities. We calculated our cost based on about a third of the utilities of that building for running the senior meals program. That's where all of those costs were derived. That's how we came up with the roughly $91 and some odd cents a day.
If the Lutheran Social Service doesn't use that facility, how much use is in that facility daily?
That's a good question. There has been some things that have changed over the last few years. The person that runs the site is very, very accommodating with their serving of their meals. The contract currently states that, they get the space from, the dining space. They get that space from 11 to 2, I think it is, every day. So it's really hard for us to be able to let anybody else use that space or to have anyone come in. Well, over the past few years, that new site manager has worked really well with me to say, okay, if there's a business that wants to do a presentation or a meeting or whatever, she will serve her meals in a meeting space because they can easily accommodate their diners, their on-site diners in that space. So now I've been able to rent it out, a little more because of their willingness to work with us on that portion of it. So that's been very helpful.
So there's a couple ways to look at this. Right now, about half the meals are serving the residents of New Ulm, and we're only charging half of what it costs us to operate that space. So essentially, we're offering to cover for City of New Ulm residents 100% of the use of that space for the New Ulm residents, and we're charging the other half. So I think is for the meals that are serving other residents of other communities. is this a program we want to be subsidizing at 100% for our residents? Should we be charging a small or an increase? Should we work our way up towards a small increase to help cover our expenses? Because some of the expenses we may have anyway, someone to maintain the building, but garbage expense, things like that, definitely we're taking on that expense through Park and Rec.
And we're only charging the staff cost for the meals program. We're not that doesn't cover all of the
Correct.
staff costs.
Yep, yep.
I guess I feel that these other communities should be, I don't know if it be through the city council or whatever, should be contributing something to this, to receive these meals. That the city of New Ulm is not paying the 100%. You know, I don't know how many other cities or towns, you know, they supply meals to, but if they're not having to pay anything, I feel maybe they should be charged a small amount to be in this program.
I've been on this commission for quite a long time. Okay, and every time I've seen this happen, it ends up being $1 higher than it was the year before, okay? It really has. I mean, I've been here that long. I don't oppose it. There's a lot of old people, including Leroy, that are old and I don't use this program, but there's a lot of them that need this program. If that's not going to happen, what are those people going to do? So that's my feeling. I've seen us try and get a bigger increase, and hate to say it, the city council goes back and raises it $1. Then I'm not opposed to that. Okay.
I guess, did staff have any sort of recommendations on what they were looking for an adjustment?
No.
No, okay. Well, let's see. My other question too, why was there a reduction in the fee? Does anyone know that?
The LSS came to the commission and the council asking for a fee reduction. We every, year or couple years, we recommend fee increases, as we do with all of our fees. And I believe the history behind it was that we were asking for the regular fee increase. And then when they came to the council, they not only asked for it, they asked for the decrease, and the council made the decision to cut it roughly in half.
Okay.
Because at that time, the expenses were, around this, I don't know what they were back then, but they just slashed the fee at that time.
Other thoughts?
Okay, I will chime in. Beginning of this budget session, council, we've had some work sessions, and we know that inflation is killing everybody. The costs are skyrocketing, and any place we can, it was painful we had to raise the fees for the use of facilities, correct? I do believe you're gonna see this year that council is gonna look at it. Okay, 5 years, we haven't had any kind of increase. I do think it's gonna go up. Any place that we can chop or get a little more, and I think the attitude of the council this year, it's different, and we all know people are struggling. It's a fantastic program. It is. But I do think you're gonna see it go up. What percent, I'm not gonna say. I'm only one of the 5, but after all the information, staff giving us the information, the work sessions, our fees had to go up, costs are going up. So I personally think it's gonna go up some. And I do believe it'll be more than $1, Leroy.
Okay. In 8 years, it's went up too, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all I can tell you.
But I would like to take a recommendation to council.
And I'm not opposed to an increase which I agree, you know, $51, whatever, but I just question why these other cities aren't asked to contribute a certain amount. And that's my
Well,
question.
I believe you have, right, though, and they didn't give you any.
If, to my knowledge, I don't believe the city itself has asked those surrounding communities directly. We've tried that elsewhere, asking on our behalf for them to contribute. And they do actually, because they don't charge us to use their space for the program. I know we have a preparation kitchen in Hutchinson that's at a housing apartment that is operated by the city, or the HRA is through the city, and they did try that several years ago to the smaller communities, and they really didn't get much response back from those smaller communities. If you'd like for me to co-sign something from the city, I'd be happy to do that. But I mean, they do contribute to the service in that they allow us to operate in their communities on an in-kind basis, with the exception of St. James. So in Comfrey, we are based out of the community center. That's where we meet. Our transporter meets our coordinator over there. We're in the community center there twice a week. We're in the apartment building in Ross Park Monday through Friday. We're at the church in Springfield Monday through Friday, and we're not being charged to use those facilities. So that's how I think they would see it. But if I don't know how. I'm happy to co-sign a letter. I don't, all of those communities help us with volunteer drivers, help us deliver meals. They're contributing that way as well. But I can't speak for them. I don't know. I don't know if it's more appropriate to come from Lutheran Social Service or to come from the city of New Ulm.
I don't even know if the city of New Ulm would do that. We lease it to your nonprofit. I don't know if the city would even do that. Go to another municipality.
As
I would have to check.
The previous comment was, in a way, if you want to look at half of the meals are going outside of the communities, that's what we're paying for. We're paying to use the space for, to prepare those meals for the surrounding communities.
And
That is one way to look at it. So the
cost of the-
$51 fee that we're paying would be to offset the cost of those meals that go outside of the city.
So the cost of the food is paid for by the city of New Ulm?
No. No, the $51 fee that we pay goes to the city of New Ulm
Okay.
to utilize the space,
Okay,
to help pay for the utilities, the cleaning supplies, just the use of the space. Yes, the refrigerator's running 365, so is the freezers. And that's what the $51 a day fee goes towards. It doesn't go towards the food. It doesn't go towards our staffing. It doesn't go to our supply costs.
That's all covered by,
It is not all covered.
well, it's covered either by you have
We-
grants that you receive or by what individuals can afford to pay for the meals, so.
But a good third of the meal is still left that we have to fundraise for.
Right.
So it will, in a way, come back onto the community
Okay,
if we have to do fundraising to meet the costs.
thank you, Sarah.
So the funding we receive from the Area Agency on Aging only pays for a third of the cost of the meal. We ask for $5, but we're getting about $3.75 per meal from the people who actually eat the meals.
And you said the meal cost you $9, right?
The full cost of the meal is $8.75.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
So I think our-
We have not increased our request to the diners in 4 years. It has been $5 or what they can, it always has been what they can afford. But what we suggest as a bottom, if you will, is $5, and that has not changed in the last 4 years for sure.
Okay, thank you, Sarah.
Yeah,
So I
thank
think,
you.
back to the commission for discussion, I think our decision is, do we want to 100% subsidize the cost of the facility for the New Ulm individuals who receive this, without taking CPI or any annual inflation that we are going to experience? So, looking for, it seems like the council, yes, will, are looking to us for a recommendation. I guess I would propose off of $51, just as a starting point, a 3% annual increase on that $51 to help recuperate some of those additional expenses and the inflation that the city is feeling related to that, yet also recognizing, the vital service that this program provides, and our kitchen is one of those resources that they need. Other ideas for recommendations?
If we're gonna increase it, I think I'd have to agree with the 3%. Anytime you start going over 7, 8, you're really starting to gouge as far as I'm concerned, okay? So, yeah, 3% doesn't sound that much on $50, okay?
It's not much. It's.
But I'm just saying,
But it's.
it's better than the alternative, what it has been.
If anyone likes that idea, they could make a motion or propose a new idea, which could lead to a motion.
I just have a clarification question. I know, Sarah, you said you asked other communities, but I think what Commissioner Lunenburg was asking is, did you specifically ask the communities that are involved with our community center? Did you ask St. James, Comfrey, Sleepy Eye, Springfield? Correct, is that what you meant?
Right.
Okay.
Answer's no.
Okay.
But Sarah's response to that was, but they do provide some in-kind use of kitchens for, to serve the meal.
Yep.
Different than probably our level of commitment with creating the meal, preparing it, but. Other ideas? Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to go up 3%.
3% a year for the
Yep.
years of the contract?
Isn't it a yearly deal?
Well, this last one was a 5-year,
Yeah, we haven't went up in 5 years.
It's generally a yearly contract,
It's an
though,
annual
yes.
contract. Okay, thanks, Sarah, for the clarification.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second for a 3% increase from the $51 from 2022. Any further discussion or comments?
I myself think it should be more. We'll see where council goes with it. I mean, I'll take it that the board recommended a 3, and then we'll see where it goes.
Any other comments or discussion? Call the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion has carried to recommend to the city council a 3% increase. All right, thank you.
That'd be 52, 53?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you for your attendance and your additional
Yes, thank you.
information.
Thank
That
you.
was helpful. Okay. That concludes 7.2. Moving on to 8, reports from the commissioner and staff. September 2022 activity report. Cheryl, are you able to report on September? Or do you guys have any questions from the written report that we received?
I don't have anything to add to the activity report unless somebody has a question.
Any questions for Cheryl?
Any idea on the shade structure?
The panels that are missing because they were damaged in root, but I heard that it's gonna be finished within the next.
They're working on it today.
Yeah,
Where I didn't go
Yes,
by today.
yeah, some steel panels were on it,
Okay.
arrived.
I didn't go by today. I go by every day, but not today I didn't.
You keep an eye on that for us. That's
You know
great.
what? It just bothers me because it was a lot of money what got
Yeah.
spent.
Yeah.
And this thing was supposed to be done a mighty long time ago, and it's not.
Yeah, yeah. We will have to wait for the benefits of shade for next July.
Yeah, 8 feet worth.
Okay, let's see, I think we need to approve that. I need a
Motion to receive
motion.
and order filed.
Thank you. I need a second, please.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion has carried. 8.2, staff report. Cheryl.
the few additions we have to the staff report are the Fieldhouse flooring expansion meeting was held in the end of September. And the point of the meeting was to educate and inform the user groups, especially pickleball and tennis, who are feeling like their group is the most affected by the new floor and the dead spots that are in the floor. They were thankful and understanding of what was going on and the thorough explanation of how it came to be. There have been some dead spots that have been fixed, and others are going to be fixed soon. Staff continues to work on that. For the winter season this year, we're going to try open tennis rather than running a structured league through the Tennis Association. So everyone, and you know, it's like drop-in tennis, just like drop-in basketball and whatnot. So we're going to try that this year and see how that works. The Tennis Association is in agreement with this plan. The German Park Veterans Square Vietnam War Memorial dedication and unveiling is scheduled for 3 p.m. on October 13th. And Mayor Sweeney and Director Schmitz will be presenting a history of the city's park and rec system, Part 1, on October 27th at the Community Center. The public is welcome to attend that. And that is all I have.
Any questions? Any commissioner reports? Hearing none. Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee report. You're going to look to me for that. And I think we have, is it this week?
There's actually a couple of them coming.
Couple
I
of-
can't give you
yeah,
the dates,
I
but
can't
there's a
give you the
couple of
dates.
them
I'm
coming up.
unprepared. I apologize. There's a few dates coming up for, I think it's maybe next week because it's the week of MEA, where there's public comment welcomed related to some of the ideas related to potential areas for expansion in the community. So keep an eye out for that. And in fact, we can let the commissioners know about that so you can attend and learn a little bit more about those areas and how Park and Rec would maybe have some opportunities in each of those potential developments as well. Our date of our next meeting is November 14th, 2022. Any further business? Hearing none, I'll declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Try the speed limit to get to the game.
We'll see.
Clarification, it was 5253.
I think so.
don't
You might
wanna-
want to do the math,
okay.
but that's what my,
Well, that's the exact amount.
that's the exact, that would be the 3% from 51. Yep.
1 point and better to start low.